Have you ever felt different, not in the sense of being special to be praised by others, but a kind of difference that often makes you feel lost in the crowd? Perhaps you feel everything more deeply, ask more questions, or cannot pretend to live by the safe scripts that society offers. And sometimes, that very thing makes you think there is something wrong with you. But if you look through the lens of Carl Jung, you will see it is not a defect, but a sign of a rare personality, a soul that very few people can ever touch. In a world where most people stop at the surface, those who dare to go deeper within are often considered unusual. Yet it is precisely this unusual quality that proves a form of psychological maturity that Jung called the path back to the true self. It is not an easy journey, for it comes with loneliness, resistance, and sometimes pain. But it also opens a depth and strength that the majority have never known. In today's video, we will explore 8 signs, clear expressions that show you are carrying within you an extremely rare personality. This is not a tip to make you stand out, but a journey for you to recognize. Your difference is your gift. And perhaps, when you listen to the end, you will understand why the world always needs rare souls like you. Sign 1. You experience emotional depth that others cannot understand. Perhaps you've heard someone say, "Why are you so sensitive?" It's not a big deal. Stop overreacting. Those words may sound light, but they plant a thorn in your heart. Am I really too much? But if Carl Jung were sitting in front of you right now, he would smile and say, "No, that is not a problem." On the contrary, it is proof that you carry within you a rare psychological refinement. Jung called this phenomenon affect-toned complexes, powerful streams of emotion like undercurrents, not only touching you, but pulling you along, transforming you from within. For you, emotions are not just feeling happy or a little sad. They are great waves, sometimes gentle, sometimes fierce, pulling you into a deeper world where every detail carries meaning. A forced smile, you already sense the worry someone tries to hide. A pause, you hear the sigh that hasn't yet turned into words. In crowded rooms, you sometimes feel suffocated, not because of a lack of air, but because you are breathing in the tension, anxiety, happiness, or sorrow of those around you. Others may walk past all these signals without noticing, but you cannot. You live in a multi-layered reality where emotions echo down to the marrow of your bones. That is why you are often labeled overly emotional, dramatic, or too sensitive. But the truth is, you are not weak. You simply possess a more refined radar, a nervous system like a large sail catching more wind, and thus you sense what most people have trained themselves to ignore. Imagine most people swimming in a shallow pool where waves only reach the ankles. But you are in the ocean. The waves may be overwhelming, the winds may be strong, and sometimes you feel you are drowning. Yet only the ocean contains the secrets that shallow water never holds. Vibrant coral reefs, currents that sustain life on the planet. Your emotions are the same. They may tire you, but they are also the doorway to clarity and connection that others cannot reach. A viewer of the channel once shared that during a meeting, everyone was discussing enthusiastically. One colleague kept smiling, kept giving opinions as usual, and no one noticed anything different. But she felt a wave of tension spread across the room. After the meeting, she quietly asked, "You seem tired today. Is something wrong?" The colleague froze and then burst into tears, confessing that her family had just gone through a major crisis, but she tried to hide it so as not to affect work. That moment showed sensitivity is not a burden, but a refined radar that helps you see what the majority overlook. And sometimes, a single question is enough to become an anchor. Yet Jung warned that many choose to suppress emotions to look normal. You smile while your heart aches, nod while wanting to say no, pretend to be carefree while storms rage inside. And precisely then, psychological splitting appears. One part of you knows the truth, while another plays a role to fit social expectations. The result is silent exhaustion. You feel lost within your own body, as if two people are living side by side. At this point, Jung advised, learn to discern. You can feel, but you don't have to save everyone. You can understand, but still set boundaries to protect yourself. And perhaps you're wondering, if emotions are so powerful, how do I turn them from a burden into strength? How do I live without being swept away by the waves, but instead ride them? Jung has an answer, and we will gradually discover it through the next signs. If you have ever felt too sensitive, pause and think, it is not a curse, but a gift. And this gift only truly shines when you stop suppressing it. Sign 2. You ask endless questions and search for essence. If emotional depth lets you touch layers of psychological waves unnoticed by most, then the thirst for questions takes you further. From merely feeling, to seeking, to unveil the truth behind. Perhaps you are used to sitting in a conversation where everyone nods to a simple answer, while you feel restless. While the majority is satisfied with the surface, you hear a question echo. Why? And that question refuses to stay silent. It compels you to dig to the core, not only to have an answer, but to see the hidden logic behind. Carl Jung called this the transcendent function, the ability to connect opposing fragments in the psyche, to see beyond current limits. Others see the picture as it is, but you see the lines forming behind, like an unfinished drawing. In history, great breakthroughs often began with someone refusing to stop at the given answer. Galileo once asked, "Why does the sun revolve around the earth as the church claims?" That question nearly put him in prison, but it also opened a new era of science. On a personal level, you are the same. When you ask, "Why must I live this way? Why must I accept rules I don't believe in?" You are not rebelling pointlessly. You are doing the work of an honest soul. Jung once said, "Most people live unconscious lives, merely following society's programming without ever questioning. But a few, like you, cannot pretend to sleep. Your question becomes a lamp in a room where people are used to living in darkness." But light, as we know, not only reveals truth, it also exposes what many don't want to see. A woman once shared that in her college group, while everyone eagerly pursued safe jobs as their parents expected, she asked, "Will we truly be happy if we only live by scripts others write?" That question instantly earned her the label of reckless. But 10 years later, many in that group fell into their 30s crisis, while she, though also facing challenges, built a creative career true to her inner values. This shows the questions you ask today are not for immediate answers, but to plant a seed. And that seed, sooner or later, will sprout in you, and even in those who once mocked you. The paradox here is that when you ask questions, you become a mirror, forcing others to look at themselves. Some feel inspired, Others feel discomfort because your light shines on shadows they are not ready to face. Do not think you are wrong because of that. Jung believed this discomfort is a sign that truth is finding its way in. You may not be liked right away, but you will be remembered. Sometimes the very questions that once got you criticized become the key to someone's awakening years later. Of course, continuously questioning can exhaust you, especially when you constantly face resistance from those unready. Jung advised, choose your companions wisely. Not everyone can listen and search with you. You need safe spaces where other souls also thirst to dig deep, to support each other. And remember, you are not responsible for awakening the whole world. The most important thing is to keep the fire of questioning alive in you and use it in the right place, at the right time. If you realize you often linger on why, while most stop at what, remember that you are only living true to your rare nature, an honest soul, unwilling to compromise with illusions. Cherish this ability, even when it makes you lonely. For as Jung reminded, as far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light of meaning in the darkness of mere being. If you've ever had such a moment when a question burst out and you couldn't pretend to stay silent like the majority, share that story in the comments. Who knows? Your question might not only open the path for yourself, but also spark something in someone searching for their own rare self. Sign 3. You forge strong independence as a way of psychological survival. If your endless questions have made you a lamp lighting areas others fear to touch, then that very light forces you to learn to stand firm on your own. Because no one can hold a lamp for others continuously without finding support within themselves. This is when you enter the third sign, strong independence, not as an armor-hiding weakness, but as a way of psychological survival, forged when you have walked through your own darkness. Carl Jung once reminded, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. The scariest thing is not loneliness, but daring to face every part within, both light and shadow. And only those who have dared to confront, who have stepped through the abyss of fear, can touch a kind of independence that nothing can break. In Greek mythology, there is the story of the goddess Persephone. Kidnapped by Hades into the underworld, she seemed to lose everything. But precisely in that darkness, Persephone not only survived, but became queen of the underworld. Darkness didn't devour her, it transformed her into a symbol of power. Likewise, your independence does not come from avoidance, but from having walked through the darkest chambers of the soul and found strength there. Perhaps you've gone through times when no one understood you, even abandoned in loneliness. You cried silently, collapsed in an empty room, and thought you'd never rise again. But precisely then, when you had nothing but yourself, you learned the greatest lesson. You don't need anyone to survive. You may want connection, want love, but existence no longer depends on having someone beside you. You can imagine through a real example, a woman who worked in a large corporation where every decision was dictated by her boss and rigid rules. For years, she lived feeling restricted, afraid of losing stability. But after a restructuring, she was forced to leave. Instead of despairing, she chose to face the fear of financial insecurity and started her own journey, opening a small cafe, designing every corner herself, creating a warm community space. From what seemed a failure, she found inner freedom. and learn to stand strong without needing a big corporation to define her worth. However, independence does not mean being closed. It is not a wall built to avoid pain, but a door opened from peace. You can still love, connect genuinely, but distinguish between love and disguised control. When you forge this independence, you become a rare kind. In work, you are not easily bought. In relationships, you do not trade truth just to keep someone. In life, you know value lies not in pleasing all, but in being honest with yourself. But remember, independence also needs balance. If you close your heart too much, you may miss beautiful connections. If you become too rigid, you may lose the softness needed to love and be loved. The secret is this: independence does not exclude connection, but makes it more meaningful. You can imagine yourself as a mountain. The mountain doesn't need support to stand tall, but it is not lonely, for life thrives around it. Others come not to possess, but to seek inspiration and peace. True love is the same. It doesn't break independence, it blooms from it. If you see this quality in yourself, strong independence, know that it is the sign of a rare personality. For most people still live fearing abandonment, while you have learned to stand firm in solitude. That is why every relationship you enter carries a different frequency: free, pure, and authentic. Sign 4. You possess an intuition so sharp it feels spiritual. When you are no longer disturbed by fear of abandonment, no longer chasing others' validation, your soul opens another channel of perception, so subtle it's hard to explain. This is when you reach the 4th sign. You possess an intuition so sharp it feels spiritual, a perception beyond reason, where you not only see what is spoken, but also hear what is silent. Carl Jung once wrote, "Intuition is perception via the unconscious." It does not need step-by-step reasoning nor specific evidence, yet it leads you to truth unexpectedly and accurately. For you, intuition is not guesswork, but another way of seeing, where mind and soul connect with subtle signals most people have trained themselves to ignore. You may sit across from someone saying, "I'm fine," their mouth smiling, but eyes lowered, voice subdued, and you feel a different undercurrent. You don't just hear the words, you hear the silence after them. Others may believe the surface, but you cannot. Intuition makes you seem like you have a soul's hearing, sensing frequencies ordinary ears cannot reach. But this is both a gift and a burden. It helps you connect deeply with others, becoming their anchor, but also easily makes you carry the emotional chaos of a whole room unintentionally. How many times have you left a gathering with no arguments having happened, yet felt heavy, as if carrying an invisible stone? That is because your intuition not only receives information, it absorbs energy. Imagine intuition as a candle placed in a silent temple. This candle is bright enough to guide you and those who come, but if you let the winds blow freely from all sides, it will quickly extinguish. Protecting intuition does not mean snuffing it out, but creating a sacred space around it, where you temporarily close the door to the outside world so the inner light continues to burn. Therefore, intuition needs balance through boundaries. Learn to say no when others' energy is too heavy. Learn to retreat into private space to recover. Learn to discern. This emotion is not mine. I don't need to carry it. Only then can intuition be a sustainable gift instead of an exhausting burden. On this journey, the independence you built earlier is the foundation. Someone still afraid of abandonment will easily lose boundaries to be liked. But you, with the firmness you have, can say, I listen, but I don't dissolve. I empathize, but I don't lose myself. I open, but I know when to close. If you recognize you have sharp intuition, cherish it as one of the rarest expressions of the soul. It is the ability to see truth, even when unspoken. But remember, you are the keeper of this flame. Don't let it be blown out just because you forgot to guard it. Intuition is not what separates you from the world. It is the bridge that connects you to it at a deeper level. And when you know how to protect the inner candle, you will see. Intuition is not only the whisper of the unconscious, but also the path leading you to spiritual maturity, where you can touch others while staying true to yourself. So we have gone more than halfway, and if you are still here, it shows your intuition is also whispering that something in these words belongs to you. Before moving to the next sign, pause, breathe deeply, close your eyes, and listen to the quiet voice within. If, by reading here, you recognize your strong intuition as one of those rare signs, write in the comments, I have a rare personality. Sometimes a simple affirmation is enough to honor the gift within, and perhaps it will also inspire someone discovering themselves. Sign 5. You crave meaning more than social acceptance. When you learn to listen to intuition and see the truth behind masks, a new need naturally arises: to live a life of meaning. You realize that if you stop at fitting in, living for social acceptance, your soul still feels empty. For nothing exhausts you more than playing a role day after day that you don't believe in, just to be called stable or proper. Carl Jung once wrote, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases." You know this well, for every safe script society sets up suffocates you. And the more you pretend to adapt, the more violently your body and mind react. Insomnia, anxiety, exhaustion, even depression. Jung called these symptoms neurosis, signs that your soul refuses a false life. Modern science also explains this phenomenon. When you force yourself to live against your core values, you fall into cognitive dissonance, the clash between what you show outside and what you truly feel inside, keeping your nervous system constantly tense. The body releases excess cortisol, leading to both physical and mental exhaustion. In other words, falseness doesn't only erode the soul, it destroys health. You can imagine yourself as a bird raised in a gilded cage. Outsiders see you protected, provided, stable. They praise you as lucky, enviable. But only you know, every bar of the cage is a limit keeping your wings from ever spreading. You may sing, but you cannot fly. You may exist, but you cannot fully live your nature. And day by day, that suffocation withers your soul. Only when you dare open the cage and step out of that false safety do you feel the vast sky truly belongs to you. The winds may be strong, storms may await, but freedom and meaning begin the moment you take flight. The irony is that many still choose to stay in the gilded cage because it offers safety society praises. But for you, safety is not worth trading the soul, because if you remain, you not only lose freedom, but also the meaning of life. A woman once shared that after many years forcing herself into a safe administrative job her family urged, she began having sudden panic attacks. Medical tests showed nothing wrong, but deep down she knew she was withering. Finally, she bravely quit to pursue painting, her passion since youth. In the early months, she was criticized, even scared herself due to unstable income. But as each painting was born, her mental health gradually recovered. Strangely, those who once mocked her came back, awakened by the authenticity and passion she expressed. This shows, when you choose to live authentically, you not only free yourself, you also become a catalyst for the evolution of collective consciousness. Your presence reminds those around that there is another way to live, not based on roles, but on true essence. They may react with discomfort, they may avoid, but they cannot ignore it. And in silence, a question arises within them. Why don't I dare to live that way? That is why those who crave meaning are often both admired and shunned, because your light not only guides yourself, it also inadvertently exposes the false layers others hide. But it is precisely this courage that makes you rare. For you were not born to live an easy life. You were born to prove that truth, though difficult, can still be chosen. And only when you choose truth can you find real peace. Sign 6. You have outgrown old people and environments. There comes a moment in life when what once supported you, once was home, once gave you safety, suddenly becomes cramped, like clothes that no longer fit. Familiar conversations turn hollow. Old habits once comforting now only tire you. And people who were once everything to you now seem unable to touch the waves you live on. This is not ingratitude, but a signal that you have entered another stage. You have outgrown old people and environments, stepping into the journey of psychological death and rebirth. Carl Jung once said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents." This means that as we grow, we are surrounded by countless expectations, beliefs, and fears handed down from past generations. You were taught you must be this, must not be that, must choose the safe path, must live as if you were the continuation of others' unfinished dreams. But then comes a moment when you realize living others' unlived lives cannot replace living your own. And at that moment, the process of death and rebirth begins. You can imagine this process as a butterfly's transformation. In the chrysalis stage, it seals itself, cutting off the world. From outside, it looks like death, the caterpillar gone, only a still shell. But inside, a miraculous restructuring occurs. Cells dissolve, then reform into wings. It is ruthless and lonely, but cannot be skipped, for without it, the caterpillar never becomes a butterfly. And you, leaving behind old selves and environments, are entering such a chrysalis, where you seem to lose everything, but are actually preparing for rebirth. The truth is, in this stage, you will experience deep loneliness. Others will say, "You've changed." But in your heart, you know it is not change to become someone else, but returning to yourself. And that process often means letting go of many things you once thought forever. But the loneliness doesn't last in vain. It is the necessary space to create new resonance. When you let go of the old shell, you begin to emit another frequency, the frequency of authenticity. And on that frequency, you attract new relationships, not based on benefit, habit, or familiarity, but on soul resonance. This is what Jung called psychological resonance, like two instruments tuned to the same key. When one sounds, the other vibrates too. You will meet people who understand you without many words, who don't judge when you take a different path, and sometimes they too are walking a rebirth journey. Interestingly, Sometimes the old environment doesn't disappear, but changes its presence. Family, friends, those who didn't understand you, may see you shine in your new form, and your living truth makes them question their own lives. You don't need to persuade, for the living truth in you is the strongest answer. If you are in this stage, feeling alienated from familiar people, lonely in crowded rooms, remember you are not lost. You are just in your own chrysalis. And when your wings open, you will understand that loneliness was the price required to fly. From this turning point, you begin to enter relationships on a new frequency, where soul resonance replaces false bonds. You no longer seek safety in the familiar, but truth in the new. And this journey, full of loss but also full of rebirth, makes you rare. What do you think? Out of 100 people, how many truly dare to leave behind old environments and people to live true to their essence, instead of clinging only for familiarity and safety? Leave the number you guess in the comments, and let's see what others think. Sign 7. You bring a healing presence in a scattered world. After you have bravely passed through the chrysalis of old selves and environments, new wings open. But what you notice is not only freedom for yourself. That rebirth changes your energy, peaceful, steady, carrying a frequency others unconsciously feel. From here, you hold a rare quality, a healing presence in a scattered and chaotic world. Carl Jung once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." For you, this transformation doesn't come from advice or control, but from presence itself. When others are near you, they not only hear what you say, but also touch a silent energy field, a space where they feel safe to breathe out, to drop masks, to be themselves even for a moment. In modern psychology, this is called psychological holding space, the ability to create an energy field where others feel supported, heard without judgment. And this quality often appears in souls who have walked through darkness, endured deep loneliness, and therefore understand the value of a silent hug, a gentle gaze, or simply a presence that doesn't leave. In Christian tradition, the figure of Mary is a beautiful symbol of such presence. Mary was not a political power holder, nor an orator, but through her gentleness and silence, she became spiritual support for countless people. Standing at the foot of the cross, in the most painful moment, she didn't run, didn't judge, but was fully present with her son's suffering. That presence, without many words, without dramatic acts, became infinite healing for millions later. You, with your rare energy, carry a similar quality. Others come to you not necessarily for solutions, but because they feel understood near you. They may say, "I don't know why, but just sitting next to you, I feel lighter." In truth, it is because you have learned to become a container, a safe vessel for emotions. You don't rush to deny others pain with cliches like, "It'll be fine." You allow them to feel without pressure to smile immediately. But here also lies a risk. Those with healing ability often fall into the helper syndrome. For when you see others in pain, your heart instantly wants to open, carry, soothe. But Jung warned, without discernment, you will soon be exhausted. Because not everyone is ready to change. Not everyone deserves to be in your energy field. Some will come only to drain the peace you create, then leave without appreciation. If you give endlessly, you will burn out, where your healing flame gradually fades. In reality, many women with this energy unintentionally exhaust themselves by endless giving. They become pillars for family, friends, colleagues, but forget they too need a place to lean. Some fall into hidden depression, others into chronic illness from carrying others' stress. The paradox: to remain a source of healing, you must stop, must learn to say no, must empower others to walk their own paths. If you see yourself able to make others feel safe and understood, know that it is one of the rarest signs, but along with it, learn to keep your heart from being eroded by endless giving. When you set boundaries, your healing source will not be a fleeting spark, but a steady flame, enough to light and warm companions on the long path ahead. Sign 8. You feel a great mission you cannot yet name. After you've learned to keep the healing flame in you and set boundaries so it won't be extinguished by the world's distractions, you will notice a new feeling. It is like a vague but persistent echo, a call that keeps rising from deep within. You no longer feel enough by just understanding or supporting others. You clearly sense something greater is waiting. This is the final sign. You feel a great mission you cannot yet name. Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." When you begin to hear this call, you understand it is not a personal ambition or a desire to prove value to the world. It is an archetypal calling coming from the depths, where the soul longs to merge with something beyond the small ego. This call is not easy to name. It doesn't tell you clearly to become a writer, an activist, or a healer. It only shows up as restlessness when you live half-heartedly, as a longing that you were not born just to exist. If you ignore it, your body and mind will react: anxiety, depression, meaninglessness. But if you dare listen, it will lead you step by step, opening a path reason cannot chart. You can imagine it as an underground river. On the surface, the land may seem barren, nothing visible, but beneath, water flows, patiently seeking a way out. One day, it bursts forth as springs, waterfalls, nourishing life around. Your soul's call is the same. It may be buried for years, but it doesn't vanish. It only waits until you are brave enough to listen and let it flow. In one therapy session, a woman in her 40s, a literature teacher, shared she often felt exhausted, though work and family had no crises. Every day she prepared lessons, taught, fulfilled duties, but a growing sense of meaninglessness haunted her. She described a recurring dream: standing in a dark classroom, holding a candle, while students' faces were dim, without light. At first, she thought it was just fatigue, but when dialoguing with the dream, she realized that candle wasn't only for herself, but to light for the younger generation. Her mission, though never named, was to awaken in her students the courage to live authentically and seek meaning, instead of just chasing grades or social approval. From then, she changed her teaching, not only analyzing texts, but encouraging students to journal, share fears, talk about dreams. By doing so, not only her students transformed, but she herself escaped the sense of futility. Mission didn't come from a new title, but from living and teaching true to her soul. So her presence became a small light guiding others. However, living with this call requires balance. If you think you are chosen and become arrogant, you fall into ego's trap. But if you are too humble and deny it, you waste the great energy flowing through you. The secret is this: know that the call is not yours, but it goes through you. You are the channel, the instrument through which life's music is played. And it is this humility that lets you walk strongly. You don't need to shout that you are special, for specialness radiates from how you live, from the light in your eyes, from the silent strength of your choices. Others will notice, even if you never try to persuade. If you feel this sign, that a mission not yet named is urging from deep within, trust that you are not alone. This is the common experience of rare souls, those carrying a silent responsibility for humanity's consciousness evolution. And sometimes, simply daring to walk, daring to trust the call, the path reveals itself little by little, leading you to where your soul has always longed, a life of meaning, authenticity, and light. And if this touches you, leave a like on this video as a silent commitment that you will no longer ignore that sacred call. A person carrying these 8 signs is like a planet orbiting on its own path, not needing collisions to draw attention. But anyone lucky enough to come near will feel the silent, yet powerful pull. Not because they are perfect or never lost, but because they dared to walk through darkness, face loneliness, and choose authenticity instead of scripted lives. It is this choice that makes them rare, not as a strange exception, but as a mirror reflecting the deep potential within each human being. And perhaps the most important thing you can take away after finishing this video is the reminder that if you've ever felt different, ever felt lost, ever heard a vague call within, it is not a fault, but the sign of a rare journey. A journey to return to the self, to live with meaning, and to let your presence inspire the world. If you feel you are walking this path, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video so other souls can also find resonant light, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue journeying with us into the rare depths of the soul. Some pains don't stem from love, but from the evasion of oneself. Not everyone is willing to face their soul bare, to confront the dark corners that have never been named. So when someone leaves, what twists the knife isn't just the loss, but everything you once projected onto that person, a sense of safety, a sense of worth, an unfinished dream. That pain doesn't lie in the other person, but in the story you told yourself to fill the emptiness inside. What you cling to isn't because they were so special, but because there's a part of you that has never been healed. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." As long as the unconscious is in control, you'll mistake it for destiny. You think you can't let go, that something sacred is holding you back. But in truth, it's the part of you that you haven't understood. A shadow that refuses to come into the light. Letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is not distraction or rushing into a new relationship. Letting go is staring straight into yourself, facing the void, and starting to call it by its name, truth. When you have the courage to listen to your soul, without avoidance, without judgment, that is when true freedom begins. Key 1. Realization. Attachment is a trap of the unconscious. There is a subtle kind of imprisonment that most of us never recognize. It's when you believe you're in love with someone, but in truth you're bound by an unhealed, immature part of yourself. When that person walks out of your life, you think the pain comes from losing them. But if you look closely, you'll see the pain isn't about them. It's about everything you projected onto them: salvation, the feeling of being seen, of being worthy. or simply the illusion that I can't live without this person. Carl Jung once said something deeply resonant. You are not what happened to you, you are what you choose to become. Attachment is not destiny. It's a repeated choice, made unconsciously, to hold on to an outdated version of yourself, a part that never dared to grow up. When you meet someone who makes you feel whole, it might not be love. It could be the activation of a wound that was never healed. That person is merely a mirror reflecting the part of you that you had lost. So when they leave, you don't just miss them. You mourn the version of yourself that only felt alive when they were around. In Psychological Types, 1921, Jung wrote, "We do not see things as they are, we see them as we are. We don't love people as they truly are. We love the image that our minds cast onto them. In many cases, this attachment doesn't come from reality, but from the collective unconscious, where we unconsciously replicate archetypes, the father, the mother, the savior, or the one we must have to feel whole. So when you find yourself unable to leave someone, even when your rational mind knows the relationship is unhealthy, it's not love. It's your shadow still clinging to them as a way to survive. Picture the mind as an old attic filled with dust. There are rooms you've never entered, parts of yourself you've never named. Then someone shows up and makes you feel lit up. But really, they've just flipped the switch on a room that hasn't seen light in a long time. That attachment, then, isn't a soul connection. It's the activation of forgotten parts of the unconscious. Jung called this projection. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But if you're not conscious, that chemical reaction creates an illusion, not a transformation. Let's return to a familiar example. A girl who grew up lacking her father's affection. As an adult, she easily falls for a distant, emotionally unavailable man, someone she feels she has to fight for to receive scraps of love. She isn't truly in love with him. She's trying to heal the child within her, trying to fix the past through the present. That's why she can't let go. But the issue isn't the man. The issue is the part of her unconscious that still hasn't come to light. Until you recognize your inner darkness, you'll keep being pulled into unhealthy relationships, replaying the same kind of painful connection. But when you begin to look deeply, you'll realize you're not in love. You're being haunted and driven by the part of yourself that remains unhealed. Letting go, therefore, isn't about forgetting someone. Letting go is cutting the thread between you and the shadow of yourself that you once saw in them. It's the courage to step into the dark room inside, turn on the light, and say to the child within you, "From now on, I'll be the one who stays." If you're in pain because you can't let go, don't try to forget them. Ask yourself, what did I project onto that person? What part of myself am I still avoiding? And when you find the courage to answer those questions with truth, you won't just be letting go of them. You'll be releasing the illusion that kept you trapped in the dark for so long. Key 2: shattering illusion and idealization. Love rooted in the unconscious is often not love for a person, but love for an idea of them. What keeps you endlessly restless isn't that they left, but the perfect image you built and believed in, like a personal faith. That person didn't have to be extraordinary. They only had to make you feel important, needed, and special. and that was enough for you to place them at the center of your inner world. That's the problem. No one can live forever as an idealized symbol. But when they fall from the pedestal, what hurts isn't the loss of them. What hurts is the collapse of the belief you once placed in them. Carl Jung wrote a timeless line in Psychological Types, 1921. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. And that applies not only to the world, but to people as well. In love, you don't see the person as they are. You see them through your lens, shaped by needs, wounds, and unmet hopes. That person becomes a stage for you to project everything you haven't yet admitted to yourself. They become the only one who ever understood me, the one who made me feel lovable, or the person no one else could ever replace. But take a closer look. Do you miss them, or do you miss the way you felt when you were with them? A common example is a relationship that ends due to betrayal, coldness, or prolonged silence. Afterwards, you find yourself missing only the beautiful moments, the tender gaze, the first message, the quiet afternoons where nothing needed to be said. But why don't you remember being neglected, the silent tears, the times you no longer felt like yourself? It's simple. The mind is not neutral. It selectively retains what supports the illusion that keeps you going. That's the trap. You can't let go because you're grieving something that never existed as you remember it. Jung explained this through the concept of projection. In The Undiscovered Self, 1957, he wrote, "Projection turns the world into the replica of one's unknown face. You attribute to the other person qualities you haven't yet recognized in yourself. You see them as strong because you haven't owned your strength. You see them as kind because you're longing for that kindness within yourself. When you love someone in an idealized way, you strip them of their flaws and limits. You erase their humanity to turn them into a symbol. And when the symbol collapses, you feel betrayed, not by them, but by the beautiful illusion you built and believed. So how do you break the illusion? Not by hating them or forcing yourself to only remember the bad, but by daring to see them in full truth as a human being, imperfect, not divine, not responsible for healing you. They may have once brought you love, but they also hurt you. They may have cared, but they also ignored. Above all, they are a person, not a miracle. When you see them completely like that, you realize what you loved wasn't truly them, but the feeling you had when you believed you were loved. This is the moment to ask yourself, what inside me needed so badly to believe they were that special? Maybe you once felt invisible in your family. Maybe you were never told you were good enough. Maybe you always thought you had to achieve something great to be worthy of love. And when that person saw you, or pretended to, you believed you had finally found something sacred. But in truth, you were loving the part of yourself that had never been recognized. Letting go doesn't mean erasing memories. It means shattering the rose-colored glasses through which you viewed that person. It means accepting that they were not light, not a savior, but just another human who walked with you for a time. And once the illusion falls away, you'll see the most important truth. Every quality you once saw in them, you can also find within yourself. True love doesn't come from placing someone on a pedestal. It comes from seeing them exactly as they are and choosing to love them anyway if you must. And if not, then knowing how to walk away, without regret for something that was never real to begin with. Key 3. Suffering comes from resistance, not from loss. There are times when we think we've understood everything, that we've seen the truth of the relationship, stripped away the illusion, and accepted that the person was never who we thought they were. And yet, the heart still feels heavy. Each morning we wake with a sting in our chest. There's still a dull emptiness that keeps us from moving forward with ease. If the mind understands, why does the heart still ache? It's because there's always a gap between knowing and letting go. And in that gap, pain lives. Not because we've lost something, but because we haven't yet looked our loss in the eye and accepted that it's real. The pain doesn't come from the ending itself, but from our resistance to that ending. Carl Jung didn't view human psychology merely as a system of emotions, but as a flow of energy, where anything repressed, denied, or delayed inevitably returns as suffering. In The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, 1959, Jung wrote, "What you resist persists. What you fight doesn't linger because it's strong, but because your resistance gives it power. The more you want something to disappear, the deeper it takes root in you." The image of a hand gripping a rope illustrates this perfectly. You think you're holding on to love, to a chance, to a final hope. But really, you're pulling that rope tighter into your skin each day. The other person may have let go long ago, but you still hold on, still yank, still wait for a miracle. And the tighter you grip, the more your hand bleeds. The pain doesn't come from what they did. It comes from your refusal to let go. Because letting go means admitting it's over. And sometimes, that truth is scarier than loneliness itself. We often confuse emotion with reality. You feel loss, so you believe there's still something left to lose. But reality has been saying otherwise for a long time. Jung repeatedly emphasized that one of the greatest roots of suffering is the refusal to live in the present. In Modern Man in Search of a Soul, 1933, he wrote, "Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. We generate neuroses, recurring dramas, and negative patterns just to avoid the one pain that is real and simple, the truth that something has ended." Imagine someone being left without an explanation. They're not just hurting from being abandoned. They're also tormented by the constant question of why, clinging to hope that one day the other person will return, explain everything, and restore fairness. But the truth is, the more they wait, resist, and hope for a happy ending, the more they sink into a spiral of pain they create themselves. Not because the person still exists in reality, but because they still exist in your refusal to accept the truth. Letting go, in Jung's philosophy, isn't an external act. It's an inner transformation, from resistance to acceptance, from endlessly asking why to saying, "This happened, and I allow it to be what it is." You can't control who leaves, who loves you, or who betrays you, but you can always control this. Not allowing what happened to keep replaying inside you because of your daily resistance. When you stop fighting reality, it softens. When you stop rewriting the story, stop imagining another ending, stop waiting for the apology that will never come, only then will you have space to begin something new. And there, you'll realize something. Pain doesn't come to punish you. It comes to make you pause, look closely, and grow. Maybe not all of us are ready to let go when everything falls apart. But one day, you'll understand. Letting go doesn't hurt. It's the refusal to let go that does. And you don't have to wait until you feel nothing to be ready. Letting go is a decision, not a feeling. And when you dare to make that decision, the pain will finally begin to dissolve. Key 4. Severing emotional anchors. When you realize that resistance, not loss, is the true source of your pain, you begin to learn how to let go, not by reasoning through it, but by accepting it fully, deep within.